Happy New Year to everyone who's in Turkey, Belarus, western portions of Russia, and Madagascar. Welcome back, everybody, to another Last Epoch dev stream. I am your host, Mike. I was like a few seconds late there because headset cut out. How's everybody doing? Coming at you live from my office. We're gonna play a little Last Epoch, We missed out last week's Christmas. Hope everyone had a wonderful holidays. I'm a little awkward here because I'm holding something very large, and it's gonna sit right on. Oh, you can't see it on my wall. It's gonna sit right there on my wall. I got something very special before we get started on the game. I got a master sword for Christmas. Woohoo! It's gonna go nicely with my shield, so they're gonna live together. Just wanted to show everybody that. It's got a little plaque that goes with this. Boom. Ain't that gorgeous? I am trying out a new headset here as well, so also thanks to my wife. So if there's anything wrong with it, or the audio's too loud or too quiet, let me know. I really hope there's like one random person watching from Madagascar or something at midnight, or watch this on YouTube later. That'd be sweet. All right, we're still leveling our Druid. We missed last week, so we're a little slow. It's level 31. We're going Werebear. We're going Swarmblade later. All right. Oh, this helps me so much. I know my way around this, but having just warp you to the right spot. Also, yesterday, sorry, we added in the monolith when you're like in the timelines. I guess I can't look inside the timelines. But when you're in there, you can right click on monoliths on echoes to just hop right in. All right, so if this is anyone's first time here, I'm just gonna play our game, ramble about things. If anyone has any questions, feel free to toss me an @ in the chat, and we'll be happy to answer them for you. The build comment is probably wrong. Sorry, that's still haven't got around to fixing that yet. The holidays. Oh man, the headset's kind of loud here. Oh yeah, my settings are all. Womp. That's what's going on. Feels bad portaling to every mono trying to find the good one. you gotta go through it, Oh, you mean like just be able to access it directly from the map? I mean, there's sort of an element of immersion there. I think that's good to have it be coming through. I don't think I'm specialized in wherever. That's the problem. Should probably do that. Should probably actually just bounce out of one of those. I think we specialize out of leap and into werebear. We can actually get a lot more stuff going really quickly here. Doing this, don't we? Yes. Yeah, maul damage. Okay, let's try this now. Oh, hey, look at that. We can sustain and form. That was easy. What was I thinking before? I got some questions here. Like if a mono gives unique helm, I need to go every waypoint trying to find which one. Dang, helm rewards. Oh, you want to search? Did I miss that? A search. Yeah, you want to search. Yeah. This is something we've gotten as a request a few times actually. We considered doing it. It's definitely not out of the question, but it was an intentional not include. There's that fury. Berserk, sorry. Yeah, Berserk feels good. Introduced Magic to the family last week. Mom is hooked and is a natural blue player. Oh! I don't like what you're doing there. Stop it. No! Classic. Did you use like Jumpstart or anything like that? If anyone is looking to get friends, family into Magic, I highly recommend picking up these Jumpstart packs. They're little small booster packs. Everyone gets 2, and it just like becomes a deck. They're each themed around something. So like some of them are like goblins, some of them are wizards, merfolk. They're all themed around something, and it gives you a really good starting point. You just add some land, and it just works as a small deck. It's a great like almost like board game replacement. It's great. When did the studio come up with the name Last Epoch and why? I actually the name Last Epoch was already attached to the project when I joined. Very like really early on that name was added, I think. So I don't know. No room in the inventory. No room in the inn. I think Magic wanted to know which unique set items are target farmable in each timeline. Oh, I see what you're saying. I'm sorry. Yes. Yeah. That's a good idea. Because it only shows it at the. I feel like we've talked about doing this already. It only shows it when you're like first going into it or something. And doesn't show it if you don't have it unlocked, so you can't like know which ones to go for to get to the one you want of the timeline, not the echoes. I'm with you. I had to go get snacks, but you know, I got back on track. I'm here. It's a two-handed node. Yeah, right. We have a minion. Beautiful. Maul. Oh, what do we got? Legendary potential? Nope. Calamity. Wow. Not a search, although I do want that. Ancient Winter Monolith Island has a jewelry. Yeah. We got there. You can't hear any game sound at all, eh? Interesting. Thank you for letting me know. How's that? Woohoo! I had the like music turned up at the start, so when you're waiting at the start, people can hear music and everything. Just floundering apparently. Like so I got new headset. It's gorgeous. It sounds like I didn't realize my headset was actually as broken as it was because I just gotten used to it slowly over the years. Oh my gosh, the sound is so nice. And there's just audio coming through both earphones, which is great. Anyways, but there's a few settings that I haven't quite got squared away yet. But I think we're probably pretty good here. Did Core 21 started X Planeswalker Focus, which was fun? Yeah. She since downloaded Arena. Oh no. You lost her. I love how fast Swipe gets there. I have like no attack speed on any of my gear. Is there any slight hint when one of the 3 missing masters will make it into the game? You don't need to guarantee or specify which one. Just curious, at least one is close to releasing. I have 0 information. I'm not holding anything back. I just have 0 information about like when we're gonna release them, when we're gonna put that out. It is. They're not developed. They're not sitting waiting in the wings. You may have noticed that you've seen 0 anything in the way of teasers about them. Oh, almost got to the next back there. Yeah, Falconer, Warlock, and Runemaster are going to be awesome. They will be made. I cannot tell you when. Have you played Grim Dawn? Oh yes. How immersive the faction in-game window is with hostility information, new quests unlocked. Yeah, the I think the faction system in Grim Dawn in general is really good, and there's a lot we can learn from it. Let's stay farm. Aw. Yeah, I do. I really like the faction system as a whole in Grim Dawn. I think it's, I think it's really good. It's one of the strong suit. Well, it's one of the stronger points of Grim Dawn's mechanics like that, like sort of ancillary systems. Let's turn the old phone off there. Do you have a rough idea of the build you're wanting to play, or is it just winging it while leveling, having fun? Crit or dot build? Yeah, I'm more gonna be focused around dots, I think, this time, because I went very crit focused with the Void Cleave. We're gonna be doing like a Swarmblade Werebear hybrid. That's gonna be focusing very much on taking advantage of the form switching abilities to get a lot of dots rolling very quickly, and like the buffs that you get in Werebear to carry over to Swarmblade, so you can attack even faster and such. That's the goal right now. Who knows what'll actually happen? Maybe I'll find some unbelievable crit axe and be like, okay, I guess I'm playing crit. I kind of play each one of them when I do these kind of pseudo SSF. I say pseudo SSF because there's this that I don't delete, but I try and just ignore stuff in my inventory to some degree, and then if I'm falling behind, I'll grab some stuff out of my stash to just make up for not being too hyper focused on like leveling properly and everything, you know. All right, do you know who's responsible for making the Werebear charge animation? Favorite one of the game. I don't know the name off the top of my head, but I can definitely pass that along, and I will. I'm sure they'd be very happy. was a lot of work went into animations. It wasn't just one person for all the animation work. Especially for like the new forms. But yeah, the bear charge. It's like, oh yeah. It has a great feel. I agree. Hey Mike, how happy are you with the Druid rework? And now that it's been out for a while. Oh, thanks, Daedalus. Happy New Year. There's 10 gifted subs. Thank you very much. I forgot to mention all of the stuff on our stream is for charity, and we do charity every month. To this month's charity is World Vision, and today will be the last stream for it. And the tracker, I don't think is working because we have these humongous donations and it doesn't go up a ton. I'm not sure why, but then we get individual ones and it does tick up. But either way, I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Congrats to anyone who got one of those. I was answering a question. I'm going to go back to that. Hey Mike, how happy are you with the Druid rework now that it's been out for a while? And is the rest of the Primalists also going to get a touch-up? Yeah, I mean, so I am unbelievably happy with the Druid rework. I think the visuals behind it, the way it feels, the mechanics that are available now, I think it all flows really well, and I think we're seeing that reflected in feedback. Also, Edric96 has resubbed for 3 months in a row. Thank you very much. Hey, loving the new Umbral Blade skill, which feels really smooth at the moment. Thanks. Yes, Umbral Blade's also a great addition this patch. I was playing that in our multiplayer test yesterday. Was that yesterday? Might have been 2 days ago. Which is a lot of fun. I think that there are some key points in, and this is stuff I've all said before. I think there's some key points in Beastmaster. Actually, it's Bear. Where's Bear? Bear and Sabretooth. I think these two could really use some love. Quite a bit of love, actually. And mostly just in tree changes, because like you look at their trees, and that is a low number of nodes, and the nodes that are there, like the 6, 7, we really we don't ever put anything above 5 anymore in nodes. And 5 is actually getting kind of scarce in general. Just because 5 is like, that's a quarter of your tree. Well, sometimes only 20% if you have a lot of plus skill nodes, but still like 20 to 25% of your skill tree is at endgame is one node with a 5-pointer, and that's a lot. So we try to avoid that. Oh, it's the hardware for hanging the sword up. We got Arrowword also has gifted 5 subs to the channel. Thank you very much. Congrats to everyone who's got one of those as well. That's a great day. Happy New Year's, everybody. Feeling good. I think Shaman needs a little bit more work than someone else. Heavy coming in hot. Wow. That's a lot too. At 15? Is that 20? I don't know. That's 15. Sweet. Thanks, Heavy. Congrats to everyone who got one of those. Basically, everyone here is going to be subbed real soon. It's just, this is nuts. Thank you so much, everybody. I appreciate it. Oh, the door here is getting a little warm. Turn the heat down. It is cold out. It is like every day since Christmas it has snowed here. It's nuts. And my door, my office, like it opens up into the garage. So like I did that and instantly my room just dropped like 3 degrees. Where was I? Yeah. Shaman needs a little bit more work than Beastmaster, I think, though. Shaman's still missing a skill. I think Storm Totem could use some love. I think Tempest Strike could use some love. I think there's some interplay. Ice Thorns, we almost cut it. We might still cut it. It was cut, then it was uncut. You know, like it's there's still some work in that spellcastery theming for Primalist in general that needs to be worked with. An elemental focused Primalist that needs to be worked with. Yeah, so there's more stuff coming. That'll be a slow rollout over the next few patches, I would assume. we still haven't sat down exactly and decided which skills are going in next patch yet. So like, I don't know yet. All right. Do you guys at EHG already have some more crafting changes planned, or do you want to wait longer for more feedback? Or are you really happy with people that are not happy with the current crafting system? We'll have to deal with it. I think it's really too early to give a sweeping statement. I'm just gonna mute this for a second. I don't know how much longer that would have gone on for. There's so many. It's fantastic. I love it. Okay. I'm putting points into. This is what I'm putting points into. I'll redo that once we get our specialization. And we already have our specialization, and I forgot. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm gonna go back and redo that anyways. Oh, good job, Mike. It's a little embarrassing. Oh well. Oh well. It's a good thing you can respec, eh? I wonder if I have enough money to cover it. Yeah, it looks good. Crafting changes. How happy are we? Do we have more changes planned? There were a lot of ideas for more runes and glyphs in these. Oops. Farting around in the menus, not paying attention. That's what I get. Anyways, there are more runes and glyphs that we have planned, or that we had talked about, not that we had planned. And it's possible that some of those could get added still. It's possible that we could add some new ones. I would say that major changes, at least quickly, are very unlikely. Overall, we're really happy with how the crafting system's working out right now. And the vast majority of the feedback is really positive. Like, I think a good indicator of an item system that excites people is the how much you want to post an item you just found on social media. And I guess like Reddit's technically social media, you know. That's sort of the one that I go off of when I'm talking about this, or like our website or Discord, things like that. And there's been a massive uptick in item posts of like, look at this item I found on like the subreddit's what I kind of just sit there scrolling through a whole bunch. So like I see a lot of these item posts pop up, and it's great to see. And we didn't see anywhere near as many before. So I think that is a really positive sign. I'm not saying that's the only thing that matters at all, but I think that's a really positive sign because it does show that people are excited to show off the things that they found. And like, so I spend time browsing the Diablo 2 subreddit, and that's like half of that what that subreddit is. It's just like, look at this sweet item I found. What's this item worth? What build can I use with this item? That sort of stuff. And it drives conversations, and I think it's really good too. So I would say that overall there's probably been a very positive impact that way. There are a few people that are critical of the system for sure, and believe me, I've read those posts. If you're like, oh, you didn't reply, or no one replied to my post about this, I wonder if they saw it. We saw it. I read it. I promise. Definitely read it. I'm just checking stuff on the ground here. I'm sure some of it's better than what I'm wearing. We'll probably wait a little bit before we make any major changes. We may not make any major changes. Personally, I love the new system. I think it is a huge step in the right direction. Perfect? No. Finished? No. I mean, it'd be really hard for me to ever say that anything's quite perfect. But I am exceptionally pleased. Oh boy. That was that was scary. Oh hey! Oh hey! And we gotta wear it, right? I love it. Here we go. Oh no, don't die on me, bud. I should set up a loot filter. Okay, that was a bit of a rambling answer there. It's okay, though. Alright. What about one-button builds? Is that too simplistic so skill trees won't ever be designed around one main skill? I mean, there are... We try and avoid it a little bit. So, there are one-button builds out there. There are... I also hate this node that it's 8 of 8. Ugh, bothers me. I don't know why it bothers me so much, but it does. I should probably go into Bleach Ants. It's shred. Straight damage. It's good. Yeah, we're having a little trouble staying in form. We'll do that. Right. Rawr! I'm a bear. Love it. I'll work out a proper build in a bit. For now, we're just killing stuff. One-button builds. I think there are some one-button builds out there. Warpath is a great example. There are still some things to do with Warpath, so it's not entirely one button, which I really like personally. There are low-button builds, so like maybe you're using one button 99% of the time, and then every once in a while use another one. And there are true one-button builds as well. And I think we do disincentivize them a little bit, just because if you're taking the time and effort to like to line up different skills to make something just get a little tiny bit more advantage out of it, there can be good rewards there. Having one-button builds be viable for late-game content and end-game content, I think is really good, because some people don't want to play with a complex build rotation and all these sorts of things. So I think having those low-effort builds, not low effort's the wrong word, but like flow builds where you can just kind of relax. Is that a good term for it? It's probably a proper term that I'm just spacing on here. But having those builds that are like that, I think is good. Will we ever make them intentionally the top tier upper echelon builds? Really unlikely. So I think that might be an important distinction. Sometimes the distinction people have between viable and the absolute best is not a distinction. So sometimes the term viable means absolute top tier. And I personally don't think it does, but some people it does. So yeah, bit of a distinction there, I guess. All right. Is some progression system after level 100 planned for the near future? No. If yes, please don't make it infinite like Paragon. Yeah. I think that likely will be reducing the speed with which you gain level 100. So it's actually kind of an interesting thing. As you level, the relative power you get from each passive point starts to go up, because the passive points higher in the tree are stronger, and you start to get things that are very synergistic with each other. So, like a point, say you have a node that gives you 1 damage per strength, which I know would be a terrible node, but plus one melee damage per strength. It's not a terrible node. And then another node that says plus 1 strength per point. Now, strength already has its own bonuses and its own stats that goes with it, so plus 1 strength per point does still give you something. But then as soon as you have this other node that says plus 1 melee attack physical damage per point of strength, suddenly that node gets more power. So there's synergies that start to work together, where each point, as you put points in, each point actually is more valuable than the last. But then something interesting starts to happen, where you get to the end, and you've got the synergies, and the number, and when you get a point, as a percentage of your total overall points, it's actually less. Each point is worth less relative to the whole as you get them. So you start, each point starts being worth less and less and less and less. So around like level 80 or so, your points, each passive point is worth less than before. So getting levels is less important, and less things are unlocked. Like you're not unlocking new skills past this point. There's less and less gear that's unlocking. Like end game gear starts unlocking around level 65-ish. And like there's some that's as high as like 90. But that's rare. There's nothing that unlocks at 100. There might be some like weird legendary that's so crazy powerful that its level requirements way up there. But you know, for the most part, you're not really unlocking something when you hit level 100, apart from one passive point. And this is actually really intentional, because we don't want level 100 to be a mandatory portion of your character's journey. Once you hit this point where your character level is actually worth less and less, things like gear start becoming the primary way to gain power for your character. And I think that's really good. That's done really intentionally. It's really important to have, because gear really has no ceiling. It has diminishing returns, and to the point where you're making the changes you're making are so minuscule, but it's really hard to get to. So gear becomes that late game chase, and that's really intentional. So no, we don't have anything like Paragon points planned. Looking forward to... I'm kind of rambling here a little bit, and I think I'm behind a bit. We'll see. Hope you guys are enjoying the answers. Looking forward to seeing how Lightning Cold Shaman turns out. Yeah, me too. Physical Shaman feels good with Shatter, Upheaval, and Thorn Totems, though overall totem play Elemental Shaman does need some love, like you pointed out. Yeah, I think there's... So I don't actually know what the final skill is going to be. It's not set in stone. We haven't fully decided what skill's going here. Yep. But I think if we look at, like, Shamans... They do have this, like, the only type of skill that's called out directly in their passives for Shaman is Totem. There are no totems here in the bottom portion. There's one right here. But there's no totems here. You know? When we do get around to making this, I will be advocating for having that be a totem. I don't think that'll be a hard sell, really. But I guess I'm wording this like this because I want to make it clear that it's not set yet, and it could change. But I think there's a lot of people that are assuming it will be a totem, and probably you're going to be right. You know? There's a good chance, I think. Yay, all attributes full spawn. So this is another weird thing. I really don't like it when you get to... sorry. Let's roll back this a little bit. With our attribute points, we really wanted individual attribute points to feel meaningful. And yeah, like you can get up over 100 of attribute points, and that's great. But we do want these to be relatively strong. So you never see a character that has like 1,000 strength or something like that, or 10,000 strength. But I do think it's weird when you have a character that has 100 strength and 0 dexterity. Or 0 intelligence. Like, really, they're that dumb. You've just gone through this humongous adventure, learning all these things from time traveling, and you have 0 intelligence? What? I always find that weird. So I've been a really big fan of slipping in all attributes into places like this, into places like unique items. It's not really a super powerful bonus, but it does help every character, and it kind of just brings the overall character up in power a little bit, which I think is good, and makes it seem a little bit weird, so there's not zeros on the character sheet. But there, if someone wants a weird challenge to go for, try and make a character endgame viable with 0 of a certain attribute. Be hard to do now. There's a lot of random attributes lying all over the place. Like off-class attributes. Alright, let's get some more maul damage, let's say. Yeah, we want this. Because we're going to switch to We're gonna switch to bear eventually. I don't know why I did that now. Maybe we should put 5 points in and get bear now. I was going over the bear skill tree just as a preliminary thing to see what we could do with it. And there's a few good things in there, but there's a few things that just they don't quite work, you know. Oh yeah, I got another specialization slot from Fury Leap, right? Yes. Yeah, we want this. Put 1 point in that. I think this is also really important to note. Like, so I spec'd into bear. There was a question recently about, and this question's kind of died down a lot, but there was a question recently on forums or somewhere about is respecking while leveling even viable or worth it. So I dropped Fury Leap when Swipe and Warcry were about level 8 or 9, I think, maybe 10 even. And put Werebear in place, and it's already almost caught up, and it will catch up. And then this starts at 5, and it'll catch up too. So I think it is good to switch skills while you're leveling. Do you guys think about the shards looting being the same as gold? Yeah, I hear this request. I can almost say literally every day at this point. They're very intentionally not. The really short answer is we want them to be items and not a resource. Most people probably unintentionally view them as a resource, and that's why the request comes in, because it's not an item. So what's the point in having it doesn't actually take up inventory space because it has its own inventory that it goes to, right? So it's not really an item, it's a resource. And that's the feeling we're trying not to happen. Maybe it's unavoidable, who knows, we'll see what happens. Yeah. Mike Reddit? Am I saying this wrong? Reddit? Without going into too much detail, what are some of the other dungeon exclusive rewards mechanics that you have potentially planned? Itemization related gold sinks. Game needs gold sinks. Yep, that's a very good observation. The game needs gold sinks. Is it intended for Shaman to be a caster type more than melee spell hybrid? I think melee spell hybrid is a good way to put it. I think whenever you create a hybrid class, there's people that are going to pull it one way or the other. I think it's important to give people the tools in order to let that happen. So it's not really hard set one way or the other, but yeah, it's in that melee hybrid space, I think. Alright, are we going to get the passive node threshold that we see a lot in Druid and other passive reads? Oh yes. Oh yes, my friend. Yeah. Oh! I felt that happening. I'm a little squishy here. Let's do a little crafting. Let's do a little crafting, see what we can find. Yes, sorry, that question was this threshold bonuses here. Here's a neat trick. If you're in windowed full screen, I don't know if it works in full screen exclusive mode, but if you're in windowed full screen and you mouse over a node, just hit Alt Tab really quick, and it will actually let you. It'll leave whatever tooltips on screen, so you can really easily take a screenshot. So you can just come in here and whoop. There we go. No problem. Easy screenshot. And this works for skill trees. This works for items. You don't get the extra info, but it does work for basically every tooltip. Does it work for these? Works for those too. Yep. Does it work for general tooltips? Yes, it does. Works for every tooltip. Cool. Sorry, got a little sidetracked. Yeah, this threshold bonus system is something we're going to be doing to every class. We wanted to, with a lot of times with systems like this, we like to roll them out in a small chunk and see how it's received, get lots of feedback on it, make tweaks, make changes, and then expand it out. Because if we took the time to go through every single passive tree and review every single node and decide where we're going to add these in and that sort of stuff, like it's like take down a little bit of power from the node, change the points slightly, add this threshold bonus in, maybe reorganize things. Like it does take a long time to go through every single passive tree in the game to add something like this. So I think likely what'll happen is like we'll take suggestions, we do know the trees pretty well generally, so we'll start to find specific places that we want to put it in, and we'll toss a few in here and there because it is, as far as I know, being received very well. I haven't seen any negative stuff about it yet. Yeah, so we'll be tossing that in elsewhere. I think it is in a couple places. I thought it was somewhere else in here. Is it nowhere? Do we only put it in Druid? It's really interesting, actually. The way it happened, we were sort of looking at, oh, this is nowhere else. The way the code's set up, it like there was almost zero changes that needed to be made to make that work. Basically, the only changes that need to be made were for the tooltip to display it properly. That was it. Like, it's nuts how little needed to be done to actually make that work, which is great. Oh my goodness. You're an angry elf, aren't you? I lost my pet, didn't I? Wolfie, no! No! Honestly, Epoch build quality is much less compared to Grim Dawn. Do you notice it or agree with such a statement? What do you mean by that? Do you mean like the variety in character builds that are available?
Inside the forge. Really?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure exactly what you mean. I would probably disagree with that because I don't think we're what did you say? Much less quantity. Sorry, I thought you said quality. That's my bad. Quantity. Honestly, I don't know Grim Dawn well enough to tell you like the sheer volume of builds, and I think it also goes back to a little bit to where does the line for a build? Where do you define that? Like, would you consider Spellblade, Fireball an appropriate build? Or like, we're gonna go full summons as a druid and not take any of the shapeshifting forms. Like, there's you might be able to kind of make it work, but it's not really good enough, right? So like, where do you draw the line and like what's good enough to be considered a build, if that makes any sense? Because if we're talking sheer combinations of possibilities, we have millions more than Grim Dawn does. Just by sheer combinatorial math of the number of trees available, we have way more.
Yes?
Viable builds, and how do you define viable? I don't know. Should really just dump this, the whole thing. What am I gonna do?
Can I help you?
Here's what we're gonna do, because I'm awful.
Greetings.
Hi, Oracle. You're way over there. Thanks to the passive point. He's way over there. Long range. Yeah, damage while transformed, reduce rage decay. Does it get much better than that? Nope. Alright, 7 resistances to care about is too much. Please delete. No. I think there's some really interesting ways to sort of mitigate that. So for example, there's that amulet that takes one away. You just fire void, become basically just 1 resistance you have to worry about. So that it just goes 7 to 6 immediately. And there's like a few other things that you can do. So Sentinel in general has a lot of like damage, like 1 damage type taken as another damage type, so you can convert damage types and reduce the amount of importance that these have. We also do have this innate penetration system that makes it so that maxing out a resistance is much less important than it is in the system without it. So because this is applied after the cap, say you have something that deals 100 damage to you. Let's look at like Diablo 2, Path of Exile, Grim Dawn, that style of system where you have you're taking 100 damage, you have 75% all res, and so that's 100 damage is now 25 damage. Now say you only have 50% all res, you take 50 damage. That's taking twice as much damage, so you're taking double damage for losing 25% resistances. When you have 75% all res in Epoch, it's actually 0. So if you have 50 all res, it's negative 25. That's how the math works. Hopefully that's with me so far. So the difference between 0 and negative 25 is 25% more damage instead of 100% more damage taken. So that there's not increasing returns on the relative percentage of damage reduction for each percentage of resistance you get. And I think that helps it make it less important to completely max out every single one, especially in the like early end game stages where you don't have access to T7, T8, or T6, T7 gear. There's no T8 gear. Sorry, slip. Where you're rocking gear that doesn't even have 4 affixes on it. Like this one has 2. Like I know I'm not. Said I was going to do some crafting and I didn't. Let's do that. Let's just try and bump some stuff up. You know what? I just like this. Cool. I'll take it up to T4 strength. Got here. You know what? Let's discover this. Cold res fire damage. Let's go chaos the fire damage. Necrotic, let's chaos that. Damage while channeling, even worse. Woof. Alright, never mind. Poo poo. It's okay though. Let's hope the health. No, we don't have much dot damage yet, so let's chaos that. Crit strike chance. Yes, please. 38. That's okay. Move speed. Always. Let's do a discovery on this. This is interesting because discovery doesn't take forging potential, so you just can get a free T1 on something. I know it's rare that you have one that's worth it, but because you can chaos it if you want, you can end up with something you really like. No matter what. Yep. Yeah, let's discover on this one. Poison. This is something we changed as well. The color of the button changes. So it's purple for just upgrading one, and it's red if it's going to be destructive in any way. So because we're taking spell damage away, we're upgrading and rerolling. I should say actually morph or something. Either way. Oh no, I've had notifications turned off. Deathwing! This is me 10 minutes ago. Thank you for subbing. I appreciate you. Deathwing TV. Woohoo! And I see now coming in also at the same time. Well, this is what reminded me of it. Or 11 minutes ago, Deathwing. Thank you. Master Sword 1291. 8 months in a row. Pew, pew, pew. There we go. Been around the block, eh? No forging potential. Rip. Okay, I'm just gonna hammer this out real quick. Throwing attack damage, nah. Block chance, yeah. Yes, that was great. Take that all the way to the bank. Melee fire damage, sure. A little harsh on what we lost, but that's okay. Should be a nice little bump. We're struggling a bit, but that should catch us up, I think. And that's why you should craft while leveling. My goodness. Alright. It's probably just that last little damage affix that did the whole thing. Alright. Art of PA, hello! Having a good stream. Happy New Year from Ukraine. Thank you very much. You're coming up, aren't you? Let's see here. What do we sort by country? Yeah, you're coming up. We'll say Happy New Year to you in 9 minutes here. I've got the world clock up on the other screen because we're keeping track. Glad to have you with us on New Year's Eve. Run, run, run as fast as you can. You can't catch me. I'm a giant bear man. It's actually pretty good. I love haste. Hasty, haste, haste. Down into my legs. Alright, any fun, unique item concepts floating around for a few weeks after 084? Yeah, there's always, ooh, yeah, I'm short on idols, actually. There's always this interesting thing that happens right after a patch drops. We've got like an internal channel in our, so we have like public Discord, and then we've got our development Discord. And there's like just a unique items idea channel in there for anyone who wants to just pitch something. And then like the edit team looks at it every once in a while. And there's sort of this interesting thing that happens after a patch drops, and you get this, like, the channel starts to get a lot more active. I guess people are just playing more. But it's a lot of fun. So yes, there's some cool stuff that's in there in the wake of 8.4. Sometimes it happens so quickly that you actually see them show up just like really close in the hotfixes. Sometimes that's a function of items that didn't quite make it into the patch, and sometimes that's actually a function of item ideas showing up from really early builds that we're like, okay, we gotta add something like this. And usually we're a little conservative with ones that get thrown in really quickly. I know we wanted that to steer, and it's so close to working, but there's some problems. It's a little erratic. Oh, come on, Berserk. Kill things too fast. Berserk doesn't stack up. Oh no. Have you thought about integrating idols into the new crafting? Did you change affixes from them? We definitely have. We very intentionally did not do it. Yeah, poison necrotic res, sure, sweet. What's our res looking like these days? A little low. We have thought about integrating idols into the crafting process, and we really intentionally left them out. It's something that, like, that might not be set in stone, but we want to keep incentivizing finding things through drops, and finding them already awesome is really good. So seeing things that are just like, you're waiting for a certain thing to drop, having control over getting more things of that category to drop to get more chances at it, and having something drop that is really good is really exciting. And having a really powerful crafting system is really good for having a little bit more control over the really highly variable items. So like, so an item now can have up to 5 affixes on it with sealed affixes, and so they drop with up to 4 though. And there's a lot of variance in an item when it drops. There's the implicits, there's the affixes, there's the rolls on the affixes, and then there's a lot of things that can make an item good or bad, right, when it drops. Idols only have 2 things. There's not even tiers of the affixes. It's just a single roll inside that affix. It's those 2 affixes and a roll inside there. So there's not a lot of stuff. And giving crafting access to the idols themselves does give it a lot less variability, because suddenly you can, like, if you could like chaos affixes on here, and like they would need tiers. They can't be upgraded, so like a lot would have to change to even make it work. But yeah, it's not something we're interested in right now. I would say it's possible that we could see some sort of changes with idols in a future patch, maybe. Maybe that's like the focus of an entire season, even down the road post-launch, right? Like having room in the item system to create new things in future patches is really important, just in general. So I'm not saying that that'll definitely happen, but there's not a lot of holes in the item system to focus things around. Oh man, that swipe gets going so fast. Feels great. I love Berserk. That's one of my favorite nodes, and if you can't tell, I had a hand in it because I gush over it a little bit. Yeah. Give me that attack speed. I want that attack speed. Give me that attack speed. Would a comeback of Echo modifier reroll mechanic... Would a comeback of Echo modifier reroll mechanic be something you guys could see in the future? Could act as a gold sink just like in the old monolith fate system, maybe only once per individual Echo. Oh, I see. I remember. Yes. Yeah. I could see that being something that could come back. I do agree that we need more gold sinks. It's not something we've looked at currently. Have you thought about integrating idols into... Oh, yeah, I already answered that. If you want to answer them, you have to add... Yes, it's true. I will go look at what that was, unless it was added to me afterwards. Let me get a question so I can ramble. Totems and pets seem super well represented. Please tell me Warlock will have some brands. Warlock, I can't really tell you anything about Warlock. We do have... we have plans for things mechanically that the Warlock's gonna do. It's the most generic statement ever. It's gonna do things. And there's gonna be mechanics that lets it do things. Yeah. I can't really talk about it, unfortunately. We do have some things planned for it, though. Sort of general stuff. It will be a little bit unique to it. All right. I'm out of liquid. Oh, we're almost there. Alright guys, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year in the Ukraine! And lots of other places north and south of it that share a time zone. Woo! Happy New Year! My noisemaker. Oh, it's a terrible noisemaker. It's a chip clip. Oh, well, it's just rolled over to 12. Romania, Bulgaria, South Africa, Hawaii. Wait, no, it's noon. Sorry. Well, that doesn't make any sense. I just saw the 12. Israel, Jordan. Happy New Year. Hope you're having fun. Hope someone from somewhere I just said is watching. And if it's also midnight somewhere where you are, I missed it, Happy New Year to you too. Alright, what are we getting here? What is the intended use for the sword weapon type for melee classes in current meta? Like, what kind of builds they perform best with? I mean, there's... Oh, Master Sword! Okay, speaking of swords and Master Sword in question, I don't know if you're here at the start, because there weren't a lot of people when I showed this off. I got a sweet Christmas gift. It's like heavy. It's real steel. There's a little delamination right there, but it looks pretty well made. It feels hefty. Like, I'm worried that I'm gonna hurt myself. It's not sharp. It's got a dulled edge, but like, my goodness. We've got a little. It's gonna go on my wall beside the Master Sword, beside the Hylian shield there. It'll probably be on there's another wall just to the side that'll be on, but yeah. Thanks, wifey. I love it. She's been apparently trying to get me one for years, and they only shipped out of the States, and she didn't want to ship a weapon cross borders. It's like one of the big games we always play together. We play the Harvest Moon games and Zelda games, which Harvest Moon is now Story of Seasons, which the new one is a ton of fun. We've been diving into that. I got it for her for Christmas. Actually, Christmas basically. All right, well, let's get back to the question. What is the intended use for the sword weapon type for melee classes in current meta? I mean, there's no... We try not to pigeonhole just one thing in there. I think there's room for swords in a lot of things that are... I don't have a good answer for this, really. It probably comes down to different like categories. So there's like leveling. In that case, you're really just looking for the affixes are the most important thing. The implicits, it's not a huge difference. The implicit attack speed differences, range differences, it's not that big. Something that might not be immediately obvious. There's actually range differences in weapons. So like a sword has, well, you'll stand further away from enemies when you're attacking with a sword, and the area you'll attack in is actually bigger for attacks with a sword compared to a dagger, for example. Which doesn't have a huge impact on things, but it can do a little bit. But yeah, it's hard to fit sword as a niche, just because it's kind of generic. Like you think about the different things, and the different weapon types. Okay, there's like blunt weapons, so maces, and there's like hammers and daggers and axes and swords and all these different things. But you usually get like bleed and dot focus things and crit focus things, and you start getting into like, oh well, like an axe fits one of those way better, or a dagger fits one of those way better, and swords end up a little bit generic sometimes, I think. And we try and give them a lot of personality with uniques. Come on. I should really be looking at gear to pick up, because I'm just ignoring everything. Whew. Okay, you know what we're gonna do? Nope, we're not gonna import a filter. We're gonna create a filter, create a new filter. And it's just gonna be werebear. Orange. Where's the Druid symbol? It's right there. Add a rule. Add a condition. We want item type. We want it to be a one-handed weapon. Like either an axe or a sword. We don't care what subtype it is. We're gonna say it has to have offensive. I don't care about the last one. We're just gonna say it has to have at least 2 of those. Or recolor it. Red. Cool. So if we see a sword with 2 good offensive prefixes on it, we'll just take a look and see if we want it. Oh, you know what else I'm gonna do actually? Oh no, not export. Add rule. We're gonna hide all items of rarity. Normal. Go this. Actually, doesn't matter which order those are in. Just to clear up the clutter a little bit. I'm thinking about this. I'm like, oh yeah, I can do that to make this better, and I should really be putting other things in my loot filter. All right, gotta be more questions here. All right, arrow weird, arrow word. Euro weird? Euro word? I'm sorry, I'm just butchering this. Arrow word. I think I said that earlier and it makes total sense. Why was that so hard? Okay, I like it. Can we at least get a loot filter roll range on idols? Getting min rolls feels bad when I have a tab full of idols already. Also, every time you say we intentionally chose not to, I hear half the chat typing furiously. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, having roll ranges is interesting. So we don't want to put roll ranges on regular items. I can see roll ranges actually on idols not being a terrible idea. Here's the problem. If we put roll ranges on idols and not other items in the loot filter, there's no obviously good answer why we do that. Why not just do both then, right? And when there's not really a good why not just do both answer that's like obvious, it gets a lot of negative feedback. So we need to have a really good reason for doing it, like a really good reason for doing it. And we do really like having people have to like pick up and look at, or not pick up, but at least look at certain items. So the main reason why we don't have affix roll ranges on items by default is so that there is that moment of like, let's check the items a little bit to see if they are good or great. If that makes any sense. Because the distinction between good and great, I think the intention of the loot filter is not to make the decisions for you, but rather to reduce the number of decisions you have to make to the point where it's manageable. If that makes sense. And it might not be manageable right now. Hopefully it is. I just got to the point where I built a sword. OMG, holy, swing it, that's sick. I'm not gonna swing it. My hand, like my arm, see how bent my arm is? And we're still, like, my hand is flat on the ceiling. My wrist is touching the ceiling right now. Like, my tip of my fingers are touching the ceiling. Like, there's not a lot of space between my head. I can touch my top of my head and the ceiling with my hand at the same time. Like, I would break a lot of things in here. I can touch, like, 3 walls if I use my legs simultaneously. I can probably touch all 4 walls in this room. Nah, not quite. I can touch 3 walls in this room simultaneously. Alright. What kind of late game philosophy Last Epoch support, or what kind of late game philosophy Last Epoch support, or will super one character to play forever, or encourage to make multiple characters? Okay, I understand this question. So I think what you're asking is, what kind of endgame philosophy do we prescribe to? Are we hoping that players will take one character and stick with it forever, or have a stable of characters that they are switching between for different things? And I think the goal is to really make either option viable. So some characters will be, some builds will be really well defined at completing really specific endgame systems. So maybe there's a system that Werebear's like really amazing at, and another system that like Hammerden's really amazing at, and then there's like another build out there, say Spellblade, like Flame Reap, and it's just sort of like it does both, not as well as either, but it can do both just fine. And I think that's important, that there are builds that are really good at specializing and ones that are able to be more generalist, and maybe there's like small tweaks to the builds that can be made to make them either really specialized or more generalist. And I think that whole interaction is really positive.
We'll have to repair it. I'm getting us out of here.
So I think both? Either? Neither? Yeah. That makes sense. We want to be able to have people play the way they want to play. Alright. I've actually been reading all of the lore and stories so far. It's pretty wild. Yeah, there's a lot in there. There's actually a lot happening to improve the presentation of the story and the world and the lore in the game. So like there's little things like those new like lore books that showed up this patch. I think those were really positive and really well received, and so those will likely continue and become better. More stuff there. Oh, I miss Greece. Happy New Year from Greece. All right. Yeah. There's. Oh, that doesn't look great. 2 lines. It's too bad. Yeah, so there's definitely a lot more coming to the presentation of the story as a whole, and also more dungeons are gonna help with that, because there's cool things we're gonna start to use dungeons for lore wise and story wise.
Try not to hurt yourself.
I will try not to hurt myself either, but I can't make that same promise for everyone else. Yeah, got to the next pack, but not the one after. It's okay. Hello, Mr. Dev. What best build? Oh, there are so many amazing builds. I would go to our forums and Reddit and Twitch and YouTube and Discord, any one of those places, and look. There's some really good forum posts that have like build compilations. LastEpochTools.com, made by one of our community members, has like a whole build compendium. There's lots of great Twitch streamers and YouTubers that make content for Last Epoch, that they've got tons of great builds. Best is really subjective, so like what's your favorite play style, and like try and find something that fits that favorite playstyle. If you're just starting out new, my advice is just hop in and just do whatever you think seems fun. Chances are you'll be able to get to the end of the campaign no problem, and then transition into maybe a more end game focused build if you want. Lots of people are totally able to just wing it and get to endgame no problem, especially if you've played RPGs before. There's a lot of really intuitive mechanics. We try and make things that seem like they should work. You know, like the things that are grouped together. Like in Beastmaster, if you focus on some Beastmaster skills, like you're gonna do well. It's like all the skills you get from being a Beastmaster or Druid or whatever. Like the skills you get from being a Druid, like Spriggan form, Werebear form, Swarmblade form, work really well with nodes that are in the passive tree. So like we try and not hide things too much. There are some sort of off the beaten path builds that people have discovered, which I think is fantastic, but my advice is just jump in and have fun. All right, thank you and the team again for the great work on game. Quick question. We saw a few patches come out in quick succession post 8.4. Can you share the info how automated your build, test, and release cycles are? Yeah, for sure. So we've done a ton for build and release pipeline the last couple patches. We've got a few people that are a little bit more experienced that have come on in the last couple of years that have really whipping us into shape with that sort of stuff, and we got people that manage that and do a really fantastic job. We've got a system now where we can like make test builds, and we make pull requests in like GitHub. It automatically integrates to check to see if it's going to make an okay build, and it can't find everything, but it does a really good job of finding most things. And then once we've got builds, we've got automated rollouts we use Steam betas because they're fantastic, that we can automatically roll out. So like QA can make their own builds if they want to test something specific, off of specific off specific pushes and PRs and things like that. And yeah, there's a lot of automation with it now that wasn't there 2 years ago, and it makes things a lot faster, able to test really quick and iterate really fast, which is fantastic. When we get to like we release a patch, and then every single issue that gets made, so we take feedback from the community, we make get issues on them, we get issues get assigned to a developer and a project. That developer fixes the problem, creates a pull request for that problem, it gets peer reviewed, it gets merged in to our patch build branch, and then a hotfix branch gets created and built from that, and then that gets tested and pushed out. And then once we're done hotfixing, we go back to our normal flow. Which is a little less stringent, a little less aggressively monitored, just because we're not... Because it's when we're doing a hotfix post-patch, it's more important that less gets put out of more stable quality and more safe things get put out instead of risky things getting put out. Like, things have to be tested because we don't have as much time to test them. Oh, Exsanguinous! That's a nice little drop. Recently, here's a cool thing. So you may notice, some people don't actually realize that Exsanguinous has, 4 things that have a range that they can roll in. There's the adaptive spell damage on the implicit, and 3 of the mods have rolls. The increased attack, cast speed, movement speed, if you've used a potion in the last 4 seconds, actually is a rollable range, but it doesn't show that range here. So we do have those ranges showing up now. That'll be for next patch. Oh my god, my control key just popped off my keyboard. What? Guys, I've lost all control. That just popped right off. Okay, we're back together. Okay. Whew, crisis averted. Wilbatron, hosting this with one person, thank you very much. Welcome. Alright. If I want to report FPS drop in specific locations or specific skill, animation, model, whatever, where's the best place to do it? I tried in the forums and didn't get any answer. We don't, so if you're, the forums is absolutely the right place to do it, for sure. We don't necessarily answer every single bug report, because we don't likely have just a change this one setting and you'll have a solution done. But we do record every bug report that's put onto the bug reports forum, so it is useful there. That is the right place to put it. It did get cataloged. Alright, I think the issue on idle rolls is that when they can roll 6 to 15%, some of them can feel as complete waste. For example, 2 times 6% rolls don't compete with a single max roll. Yeah, that's a good point. I wouldn't mind not having roll filters in the range just closer together, like 10 to 15, 1. I mean, so the answer there might be that we do have tiers and say minimum tiers, and then that kind of does that halfway thing. It doesn't actually affect the roll ranges, how it works. But we could filter based on tiers because we already allow filtering based on tiers. So maybe there's the answer in there somewhere. My advice is go suggest that on the forums. Will a falconer have a falcon punch? I think there might be some copyright. I've heard that somewhere before. There might be some sort of like copyright infringement. I don't know. It's probably nothing. Alright. It's a 3 for poison, minion melee attack speed. Our wolf isn't doing much. Oh, I've been on the right so far. So far, so long. Just been chilling over here on the right. Okay, we're gonna do a little more. Chaos this. They're good, but where's my move speed? He's such good stats. Is move speed a suffix and I just don't know? No, it's a prefix. I just love move speed so much. It's so good. How does it even do that? It's just so good. Shablammy! Oh! Oh, hello! Yeah. Not great for me, but still cool. Who does the lore of the game? Our lore master. I don't know if he wants me to say his name on stream, but yeah. We got a guy. He's been with us from the very beginning. He was there at the inception. Speaking of exsanguinous, are there any plans for more items that grant bleed immunity? It's clearly the only source of bleed, it's literally the only source of bleed immunity right now. And there are some amazing self-bleed builds that get forced into using exsanguinous. I think that's a good point, because there are some self-bleed builds that don't want to go ward. It is there specifically to help with, like, bleeding out when being so low life. Doing this. A little armor shred. Oh, the stream lagged out. Got to go to the forums. Yeah, I say go to the forums a lot. If you want to leave any info or feedback or suggestions or bugs or anything where it's actually going to get looked at by more than just whoever happens to be online at that time, forums. Just because there's a history. Oh my goodness, I'm just dropping stuff left and right. Oh. Oh, the claw. The claw. Means we get 2 wolves. Something weird happened there where it summoned while one was downed. That's weird. Maybe we're doing wolves now. Is that a thing? We're just doing wolves? I guess wolves are better for dots. They got way more bleed synergy than bear. I think they do. Be good for leveling still. Oh, come on, bud. Idle crafting Wendlamouth. Rewind the stream like half an hour and I'll tell you. What do you think about critical successes when using Glyph of Chaos? It's the only feel bad moment in the new system for me, personally, because it moves potential chances for more rerolls. Oh, like because you don't want to necessarily hit one that you got. You want to hit a different one. Yeah, that's interesting. Because when you're doing chaos on something, you are intentionally kind of just you're taking shots in the dark, and you want more shots in the dark. I think having the opportunity for a critical success to not remove the forging potential, but not give an extra tier, might be better. It's definitely a good point. I don't know the exact solution I'd go for, but I think it's. I think I would have critical successes when using a Glyph of Chaos, not increase the tier, but still exist so that it wouldn't use the forging potential. Still does that, I'm pretty sure. Look at that sustain. Berserk for the win. Berserk, berserk, berserk. Mouse isn't even on my desk, and I'm just holding right click and wasn't touching my keyboard. I like the pedals too. I know it's not great for this build, but it's fun. Be interesting. Like, I always like to think of like extra challenges for games when you're leveling. So, like, for example, people play the Nuzlocke for Pokemon because it's way too easy in that game. You just like overlevel and kill everything. Where it's basically like every time you see a Pokemon, like the first Pokemon you see in a zone is the only thing you can ever catch. There's like no duplicates. If one faints, it's dead forever. It's hardcore, so if you die, you have to delete your account. Like you play your start over again. There's a whole bunch of rules and there's different variations on it and everything. But like having these self-imposed restrictions to make it harder, I think is always really cool. So one that I like to think of is if you ever find a unique item, you have to wear it, even if it replaces an item you're already wearing. Every unique that drops, you just have to put it on, and if you can. Just gonna do that. That would be mine. This should take you back, I think. Not. I guess we changed that. There's also something up here somewhere. Is it up here? Where is it? I'm sure most of you have seen this before. What is this? What's this? What's this? There's blue things floating there. What's this? What's this? A pus bubble explode. What's this? What's this? An altar of sorts I see. I must be dreaming. Wake up, Mike. What is this? Does every time you find a unique, you must make a build around account? Maybe. Whatever you want. I just kind of making up rules as you go. Alright, second time you've mentioned forums that Twitch buffers. Maybe it's a sign. I got the point though. We'll post it once the tournament ends. What's a good sample size for crafting in terms of feedback? At least 100, I imagine, for statistical analysis purpose. If you're like, if you want to get accurate statistics, 100,000. Things will likely start to normalize out around 100. Just 100 out of 100,000. But yeah, the more the better. Not much has weighting to it. So if you're seeing things have weighting, I'd suggest that there's likely just RNG being RNG. Alright, for you, and if any, what is game design philosophy that you always adhere to? Ooh. Oh, look what we got! Little LP on that aberrant call. Heyo! Nice. That's actually the first legendary potential item I've found on stream, I think. Pretty sure. That's cool. That's really cool. For you, and if any, what is game design philosophy that you always adhere to? I don't know if there's anything that I always adhere to. I think having restrictions that are absolute like that is usually pretty detrimental. I can't think of anything that's like an always do or always don't or anything. There's so many things that are situational and like so many things that have exceptions. Like I'm trying to think of it like a good example. Like always be open-minded. like really generic stuff like that. Like always try and find ways to improve things that you take for granted. Like don't keep something the way it is just purely because that's the way you've done it, always done it. Like, I don't know, things like that. It's really hard for me to just come up with. There's always learning to be had. There's always new things to discover. There's always room for improvement. I'm still sitting on the right side of my screen here, aren't I? I've been over here for so long. It's just so cozy and comfy. It feels nice over here. We're gonna try and level up this sword a little bit, see what happens. Oh my god, I ran out of melee void damage. Oh no, I didn't. I was just already clicked on it. How could I possibly run out of anything? Now, what happens when you try and do this? Can it make an item be too high level? No, or maybe it can, but it didn't. I mean, those are sweet affixes to add. Yeah, I think that's a buff right there. I think that's a buff. Hey, boo boo. That's a good idea to have that one. I do like up here the kill threshold is nice. I hate having the cooldown yet. Bleed and shred, health mana gain's nice, but I'm gonna pop a couple points in there. Number one rule: only a Sith deals in absolutes. I love it. Yeah, there you go. All right. Let me try this question from a different angle. Is there a certain weapon type that excels in ailment builds? And we do have different ailment types across different weapons. That's initially actually what I was going to say, is that swords are great for bleed builds. And then I'm like, there's great axes for bleed builds, and there's great daggers for bleed builds too. So I don't know if that's true. Yeah. Does every time you find a unique... Oh, yeah, that's that. There's a theory going around that exalted affixes have a higher chance to be put on legendary, and it's not an even 25% split. Is there any truth to this? No, there is no truth to that whatsoever. It is completely random and evenly selected between the 4, 25, 25, 25. 25. Cool. Yeah, that's a great response. Glad you like that. I don't remember what the response is to, but I'm happy you liked it. And like, so with the whole exalted affixes getting put onto items more frequently, I can understand why that might seem like something we would do. And I've mentioned before about like random like RNG compensation devices that have been brought up in Discord and on Reddit and other places I've talked about it before. RNG compensation mechanics where there's a great, I can't remember who it was. It was a fantastic talk. It's one of the first GDC talks that I ever actually seriously watched after getting into game design. And it's about how this guy was building this RNG system for a game, and he just builds it with really standard randomization. So like, it's not perfect randomization, but it's strong randomization. So it uses randomization. It uses like random number to make the seed, and then uses that to make a random number. So there's like 2 layers of randomization that make it much stronger randomization, but it's still not true. Like he's not taking noise from the atmosphere or anything like that. Which super cool. Random.org, super cool. True randomization. Anyways, and like the person buying the system from him comes back and is like, it doesn't feel random. It's not random. You got to fix it. Bring this point out of here because we don't have either of those yet. And it was great. So he yeah, ailment cleanse, gotta have it. Yeah, great stuff there. So like he goes in and adds a little thing to like statistically try to track statistics of how it's been over the last little bit recently, and compensate to make it random recently. And and like feels good, but it's still not random feeling. And then like wants them to add in like notifications for when it goes right to make it feel better, and like there's all these little things that they're adding in to like to compensate for it, and it's becoming less and less and less actually random. And by the time it doesn't even remotely resemble a random system at all, the response is, great, you finally made it random, that's all I wanted. And it's not random at all anymore. It's like giving like 1 bad, 2 good, 1 bad, 1 good, 1 bad, 2 good, and like it's just intentionally putting in a specific pattern to make it feel random, but it's not. And I have no idea if the story is actually true, and I'm probably butchering it horribly. But the point is that what feels random to humans, especially when there's a positive and negative and varying degrees of positive and negative that can happen in an outcome, it doesn't feel random. And our brains do not remember positive and negative outcomes to a random system the same at all. and this is like the entire psychology behind how slot machines are created, and in order to make you really, really, really remember the good times and really, really, really ignore the bad times. But no, the system is actually, well, it's pseudo-random because it's not using atmospheric noise to generate a number to randomly pick from another number in the noise or something like that. You know, like it's not proper true randomization, but it's as basically random as possible. There's no compensation systems. There's no like secret help you out buddy systems. Yeah. If anyone can find that talk, I highly recommend watching it. It's fantastic. It's about half an hour long, I think. Alright, let's get back to questions. I'm done rambling about that, unless there's more follow-ups in a minute. Any plans? I need some water. No random water in this room. Nope. That's okay. Any plans to improve mob animations related to when you hit them? Yep. It feels like they have low impact or weight, something to do with hit feedback and mobs not looking affected too much. Yeah. I could very quickly bring up just about every hit reaction animation from every ARPG in the last 20 years. That we definitely have not been analyzing very closely to see what's right and wrong about all of them. Yeah, we're looking at it. Hit flashes, all that stuff. Have you played Dark Souls? Yes, I have played Dark Souls. The Dark Souls 1 I never beat. I rang... I didn't actually get very far, I don't think. I rang one of the bells, and was like gonna ring the other one, and fell down into this big sewer area, and apparently it was like some big side boss area that I ended up roaming around in for hours. Yes, I did at least kill one boss. I killed several. I ended up killing some apparently quite hard side boss that you're not supposed to do right away in the main storyline. Took me forever, and it was so grueling that I eventually quit. Just didn't have time to do it. Love the game. It is phenomenal. I wish I had more time to play them. They are a fantastic series. I think Dark Souls does a sickening amount of things right. And like it's really interesting when a game effective, like I know that I'm wrong about when I say this, but like it effectively spawned a genre. Like I know it's not the like there's Demon Souls first before Dark Souls, and I'm sure there's other games people can point to that were like before that, but it popularized the genre. It's a Diablo 2 kind of created the RPG genre, even though it's not the first one. Obviously there's Diablo 1, but like Diablo 2 popularized it. And like, yeah, Dark Souls did the same thing. Yeah, it's a fantastic game. Dark Souls 2, I quit because I think it was 2, maybe 3. It's one there's like a well really close to the beginning of it, and I was farming up souls to buy something, so I was struggling really hard, and I died on my way back to my corpse, died again, lost all the souls I've been saving up, and was like, you know what, that's fine, I understand it, I will keep grinding. And then was going back to get my body again, was going back to do another run, and everything wasn't respawning, and I'm like, okay, so there's a maximum amount of souls you can get, and if you die after dying, you reduce the maximum amount of souls you can get, and I'm just hooped, so I have to start over, and that was enough to break me. Sorry, this was more to that question. Have you played Dark Souls? What do you think of Souls-like level design, where you can go through the acts linearly or have ways to speedrun the acts to get the endgame fast but very hard skill-based? Let's kind of talking about that a little bit. Yeah, 'cause I fell in that area that I wasn't supposed to go to. Anyways, I think it's really cool. I think that there is a lot more skill precision in a Souls-like game where you're having to, a lot more of your character's power is actually based on your player skill than in an RPG. Not saying there's no skill in an RPG, but in the hands of the difference in what you can do in Dark Souls, like someone who's a true Dark Souls master, how fast you can get through that game, and how the skips you can take just for being really good at combat in general, I think is on another level compared to something like an ARPG. And I'll even use, like, yeah, I know there's speedrunners and they take a ton of shortcuts to do a lot of crazy things, and that's more, I think, taking advantage of the knowledge of ways to build your character to like excel at certain situations and things like that. And I know there's definitely a lot of overlap and bleed both ways there, but I think there's a lot more in the Souls-like games of being able to, like, okay, I know this enemy's attack pattern and I can just take no damage from this because I can go attack, dodge, dodge, and I know I'm not gonna take any damage because I've just fought this enemy a bajillion times. Whereas in an RPG like this, it's more about, like, being able to speedrun it quickly. Yeah, there are things like that where you're like, okay, I know I'm going to use this ability in this zone because yada yada yada, but it's more about using specific things in the situations to speedrun quickly and optimizing your time rather than being able to just skip things because you can outplay the AI. There's less outplay moments, and like, outplay moments are something that we do try and put in the game for sure, by making things like, okay, well, there's this AoE that's going to happen, like by signaling it, or you're standing in the fire, and it's like, in order to interact with the mechanics, we just try and add as many of those as possible for sure. But there are differences there just inherently in the genre, I think. Anyways, getting off track a little bit, because what I'm actually going to say is we're working on adding more things like that to the game with the dungeon system. So I do think there's room for that type of stuff in Epoch and ARPGs in general. I just think there's less room for it. And so the Temporal Sanctum does have a point there where you are actually skipping part of the storyline, and we plan to add like a good chunk more dungeons such that you can, I think that a typical like follow-up like an alt, like leveling an alt in Last Epoch, I think will actually be fairly different for your first alt and your 10th alt and your 100th alt, partially because which dungeons you choose to do will change based on the character you're playing. Which dungeons you can do will change based on the character you're playing and your skill in the matter, and which keys you have access to. Because there's 15 passive points and 8 idle slot rewards, and so that number is probably going to stay pretty static. And if you take every single skip in the camp, if you do every single dungeon, you have like unbelievable gear, this sick leveling build, you're just going so fast and just cranking through everything, and you take every dungeon, you're going to miss some of those. So you'll need to do some of them in order to get those passive points and those idle slots unlocked. And this is, I know, really early. None of those dungeons are in. None of it's been tested. None of it's had feedback. The amount of stuff that changes from conception to implementation to feedback and release is unbelievable. So this is all subject to change. But what I'm getting at is a really skilled player with these keys is going to be able to get through the campaign very differently because they have these opportunities to skip through because they're more skilled at the game. So yeah, I do think there is a place for that, but it's different the way it works. There's more preparation in build planning that goes into it rather than just practice. I think. All right. Hope that was an all right answer. Where are we here? Look for Dark Souls. Then the next question. Speaking of ailments, I think weapon types already have a mild theme regarding ailments. Blunt weapons can auto bleed on hit. Yeah, that's true. Would you like further expand on this? Give blunt weapons some unique ailments. I mean, there are clear things that like the blunt, like it's stun chance, I think, right? And so I don't think everything needs an ailment. I think actually if everything had an ailment that went with it, it would actually be less interesting. So sort of like, what's the ailment that goes with this type? I think it's more interesting that like, oh, this one has one, and this one has stun, and this one has crit, and this one has, and there's different things that go with different weapon types. I think that's more interesting personally. What am I doing here? This one. Alrighty then. Yeah. Sure. Cognitive bias is what you're talking about. Thank you. That is exactly what I was talking about. Yes, exactly. Very excited for next year, especially the multiplayer update. Yeah, lots coming. It'll be tons of fun. Do the devs anticipate making overarching changes to current Last Epoch block system in the near future? No, I don't think so. It's possible. Pretty happy with block overall, I think. It's gone through a few iterations, and I think I like it. I know that I like it. I think everyone likes it. Or I think the overarching or the prevailing opinion is that it's good, but I like it. So I might be biased in my interpretation of what's going on. Should at me if I want to get a question through. That means that someone asked a question that I missed. Do you plan... I was right about that. Do you plan on dungeons all introducing systems with game-wide implications like the Eternity Cache? Hopefully. The Eternity Cache is pretty epic in its game-altering implications. You know, like there's a lot going on there. Some of the rewards from dungeons will be more impactful than others, for sure. I think that's just the nature of the beast. Some will be like, oh my god, yeah, this is like the most key dungeon to run, and I think that it's important that we plan to have unique mechanics and rewards and themes for each dungeon. And sometimes there might be, so we've talked about having variants on a theme, so like there might be an early dungeon that has one mechanic, and then a late dungeon that has the same mechanic or similar mechanic, or maybe the mechanic with like an expanded on that theme. So like, I don't have a good example off the top of my head. Well, I do, but I'm not going to share it, I'm sorry. It like they won't be, how is it? So like there's one theme for two dungeons, and there's like the simple version and the complex version, and like a little bit easier, simpler version, a little bit harder, and the reward would likely be similar, but maybe improved, or maybe more options, or you know, like related but different. We probably won't have the time travel flick, that temporal shift. That won't be the ability for every single dungeon. And because you don't have that ability in every single dungeon, you can't do the time jump for the eternity cache, so you won't be able to make a legendary item at the end of every dungeon. So there's going to have to be unique mechanics and unique rewards for each dungeon. Now they might not, we might need to have some little bit of overlap there just based on what's possible. And we might be like, okay, we need 2 more dungeons and can't make a new mechanic work, so we need to make a twist on it to make a new dungeon or something like that. There's lots of stuff that goes into making this all work, and we're still early in that development process. I think that's what I'm trying to say. We're still early. We are getting close to the end of the stream here. All right. Happy New Year and thank you for the great game. Happy New Year to you too. I'll say it again in 4 minutes. Do you plan on dungeons all introducing systems with game-wide implications? I already said that, yes. Yeah, ideally, yes. They may not be as big of implications as the Eternity Cache. Maybe something's like we were talking about gold sinks earlier. This is literally nothing that's been discussed. I'm literally making this up right now. I have no idea if this will ever happen. But maybe it's maybe it's something like you can drop an item in and pay 10,000 gold to do a reroll on all of the affixes, and they can't go down or something. I don't know, but they like have a real low chance to go up at all. Only one of them goes up a little bit, or I don't know, something like that. It would probably be too strong because you could deterministically just forever make them better if you just grind it enough. And like, see what I'm getting at is like there's things we can do. They have to be discussed and tested quite heavily. Yeah. I want to pull a little bit. Finding the shout pushes things back too far. Because I got Berserk going. Said you all like Block and nobody complained on forums. Yeah, I don't think I said that. I like Block. I'm sure people complain on the forums. What I meant by the prevailing attitude towards Block, I meant more of like the internal attitude, like on our dev team, not on necessarily what everyone thinks who plays the game. Yeah. Well, we're getting pretty close to the end here. Block is fine, shush all of you. It's really good to have feedback. If someone doesn't like something, I'd much rather hear about it than have them sit quiet. And it's okay to disagree. Disagreeing is the best, as long as it can be used to channel constructive improvements to systems. Oh, disagreeing's fantastic. Disagreeing is how like all the great science was made. All the great scientific achievements were made through disagreements. I don't know if that's true. I hope so. Oh, did I miss it? Happy New Year! 10 seconds late to everyone in France and Denmark and Czechia and lots of other places. Or Germany and Italy and Hungary. Happy New Year! Pew, pew, pew. I missed some probably. Where else is here? Netherlands, Nigeria, Belgium, Austria. Oh, of course, Austria. How did I miss that one? I know time zones pretty well, but not that great. I can generally get pretty close, but because we work on an international team. All right, well that is got a new waypoint. Let's go back to the end of time. Let's run away. That's gonna be time for me today. Thank you all for coming. I hope you had fun. I know I did. I never switched back. This is the side of the screen my face is normally on. I said Hungary now, girl. There must be places in Hungary that have 2 time zones. I was just going off of cities. Where city was this? It is in Budapest right now. It is just past midnight. But there's probably another city in Hungary that's Turkey. Not important. Oh. Hope everyone is having a wonderful New Year's. I hope everyone who is not New Year's Day for yet is going to have a wonderful New Year's. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thanks for stopping by.